Hello and welcome to another day of Walking with Jesus as we continue our speed tour through the last day, even less of Jesus' ministry. It is interesting when you get to the Gospels how much of the Gospel is taken up with these last events of Jesus' life. So today we're going to be looking at Luke 22:66 through Luke 23:25. We'll see Jesus in front of the council, Pilate, and Herod, along with his being condemned to be crucified. So it's a large chunk on this Good Friday. So happy Good Friday to you. So Jesus is before the council, Luke 22:66. When day came, the assembly of the elders of the people gathered together, both chief priests and scribes, and they led him away to their council, and they said, "If you are the Christ, tell us." But he said to them, "If I tell you, you will not believe, and if I ask you, you will not answer. But from now on, the Son of Man shall be seated at the right hand of the power of God." So they all said, "Are you the Son of God then?" And he said to them, "You say that I am." Then they said, "What further testimony do we need? We have heard it ourselves from his own lips." Then the whole company of them arose and brought him before Pilate, and they began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man misleading our nation and forbidding us to give tribute to Caesar, and saying that he himself is Christ, a king." And Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And he answered him, "You have said so." Then Pilate said to the chief priests and the crowds, "I find no guilt in this man." But they were urgent, saying, "He stirs up the people, teaching throughout all Judea from Galilee even to this place." It's one of the only comments they make that is actually true. When Pilate heard this, he asked whether the man was a Galilean. And when he learned that he belonged to Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him over to Herod, who was himself in Jerusalem at that time. When Herod saw Jesus, he was very glad, for he had long desired to see him, because he had heard about him, and he was hoping to see some sign done by him. So he questioned him at some length, but Jesus made no answer. The chief priests and the scribes stood by, vehemently accusing him, and Herod with his soldiers treated him with contempt and mocked him. Then, arraying him in splendid clothing, he sent him back to Pilate. And Herod and Pilate became friends with each other that very day, for before this day they had been at enmity with each other. Pilate then called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people and said to them, "You brought me this man as one who is misleading the people. And after examining him before you, behold, I did not find this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither did Herod, for he sent him back to us. Look, nothing deserving of death has been done by him. I will therefore punish and release him." But they all cried out together, "Away with this man, and release to us Barabbas," a man who had been thrown into prison for an insurrection started in the city and for murder. Pilate addressed them once more, desiring to release Jesus, but they kept shouting, "Crucify! Crucify him!" A third time he said to them, "Why? What evil has he done? I have found in him no guilt deserving of death. I will therefore punish and release him." But they were urgent, demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate decided that their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, for whom they asked, but he delivered Jesus over to their will. So, this passage of Scripture, we see that all of the forces are arrayed against Jesus. Jesus is just submitting to them. And once again, I think it's just really important for us to remember that at any point, Jesus could have put an end to this. At any point, he could have stopped the whole proceeding. He could have called, as the song says, 10,000 angels, as he said in his statement, 10 legions of angels, which is more than 12,000. Regardless, he could have stopped it. He could have pulled rank, as it were, and taken back all of his power and authority as the second person of the Trinity. And he chose not to. He chose to go to the cross. And this is not a case of cosmic child abuse. This is not a case of God the Father abusing his Son. This is a case where the Son willingly goes to be crucified out of love for the Father and love for us. When we see these things, what kind of God do we serve? What kind of God? A God that is so loving that he would go through all of these things for us. It's an amazing thing that he has done. And so let us live our lives in praise and glory for him, that he would be glorified on our lips and that we would ever serve him. As you walk with Jesus today, remember the awesome sacrifice that he has paid for you. Remember that he did it for you because he loves you. And then go and share that love with a world that so often doesn't understand. Oh, yes, you may receive persecution and ridicule even as Jesus did. But there will be those who respond. There will be those who say yes to Jesus. And Jesus wants anyone who will to come. So you let them know so that they can decide. God bless you as you walk with Jesus today.